and welcome back. I hope everyone's doing okay out there again today. Now the resin project we're going to be doing today is 2 funky little ashtrays. Now if you don't smoke, there is some other uses for ashtrays, like if you're staging your house, if you want to just put little trinkets in there, there's all sort of things you can use it for. So anyone can really get use out of this video. So let's get into it and see what I can create with these ashtrays.
So I made 2 little inserts for these ashtrays here, one that says tss, ouch, and another one that's cute little X's and O, kind of like a little bullseye to put out whatever you have that is making ashes. Mix 1 part resin into a little mixing container, and 1 part hardener into the same mixing container. Now it's time to start your 3-minute timer and mix your resin and hardener
very slowly
once again, just to avoid a crazy amount of bubbles that nobody wants. Now it was time to add in my cool little blue mica powder and then mix it slowly until all of the color was integrated and nice and cohesive. Once I was done mixing my little concoction here, I then poured it into the top of the silicone mold just all the way around the edges of the rim. Once the resin was where I wanted it to be, I then let it set for 10 minutes so I could come back later and check for bubbles. Now it was time to mix in the color for the next ashtray. I picked a cool kind of gunmetal gray for this one. And once again, friends, I just mixed it all into my resin mixture so it was all nice and smooth. So with this ashtray as well, I basically just did a nice thin line at the bottom of it. I then just tilted the silicone mold around a little bit so the resin could distribute evenly amongst the bottom of the mold. And once I was done pouring, I then set it aside for 10 minutes to let those bubbles rise to the top. Alright, now it's time to get rid of those pesky little bubbles in the first ashtray we started here. Alright, so now it's number 2's turn for some debubbling. Once I was done debubbling both, it was then time to set them aside for 3 hours for the next layer. Alright, so I have my resin here just previously mixed together, and I'm just going to pour it on top of the silicone mold so we can prep it for that cute little insert to be put in. Once I was perfectly happy with my distribution of the resin, I then popped in my little insert. I then grabbed a popsicle stick just to push down the edges to make sure everything was in there nice and snug. I then, not literally, whipped up another batch of resin for this second ashtray. Once I was finished, I then just poured it right in the middle of the silicone mold to prep for that cute little tss insert I made earlier. Once I was satisfied with the resin, I then gently just pressed the tiny insert into the space I want. While I was pouring the other resin, some bubbles did rise to the top of the first one, so let's get rid of those babies. Alright you guys, we are on our second to last debubbling of this project. Now it's time to let these guys set for 3 more hours. Alright, so I'm just adding some papaya orange mica powder to some pre-mixed resin for the ashtray to kind of give a nice fire and smoke coloring to the full end product. Alright, so now it's time to put it into that ashtray. So since we already put that insert in there, it is set and it will not move and stay exactly where I want it to stay this time. Thank goodness. Now it was the second ashtray's turn, so I'm just adding some cherry red mica powder to this pre-mixed resin so it will match the X and O red and blue coloring of the insert. Now, is that not the most satisfying thing you have ever seen? There is something just so mesmerizing about pouring colored resin. Alright you guys, so once I had all my resin situated where I liked it to be, it was finally time to wait those final 10 minutes for the last debubbling. I cannot wait. Alright, so in those 10 minutes, of course a few bubbles did pop up, but it didn't take very long to get rid of the couple that were there. And once that was done, now we have to wait 72 hours to see the final result, you guys.
Alright you guys, so my ashtrays are finally ready to be demolded. Now what I do notice first and foremost is this one did pretty good. It didn't separate from the walls or anything. It stayed exactly where I put it, but this one, as you can see, there's a little bit of the blue coming through. The red did separate a little bit from the wall. That might just be because I added a little bit too much mica powder, or this was setting on an angle. Now if I look at it, if you look up close, it does look like there is less resin here than here, so my guess is it was setting on an angle. My table was flat, so I am not too sure why it's set on an angle. I'm gonna have to look into that, but let's get into it and see what they look like. So let's get into it. Alright you guys, so not unusual for this channel, but
a f***ing disaster has occurred.
Apparently,
you're supposed to use a seal release on silicone molds when you're pouring resin. Now, I did not know this, and last time they came out of the molds completely fine. So as you can see, I completely destroyed this mold, getting this one out. Like, it's so cute. And you can see all the silicone that had stuck to it. And this one, I absolutely just could not remove. I have cut it and tried to pull, but right here in the middle is where it is completely stuck, and I cannot get it out. I am so disappointed. I just bought these molds, but that being said, I am a beginner doing resin, and I want this to be a teachable moment for all of you other beginners out there. I did fix the problems that I had last time. Like, there's no bubbles, it looks really great. The layers, like, look at that. I said there was gonna be great layers, and
there is great layers.
And I did something new. I did embed some little pieces of paper in there with some cool stuff. So parts of it did work out. The thing we learned from this round of failures is I need to use a seal release when doing resin and silicone molds, so this does not happen again. But at least we can learn something from this and next time be even better. I learned from last time and I'll learn from this time. Honestly, this just motivates me more to do even better next time. So if you are a beginner, please learn from my mistakes once again. We're gonna go on this learning journey together. So if I do something great and it works out, 100% you can do something great and have it work out. But thank you guys so much for watching this. I really hope you enjoyed at least watching the process and then seeing that sometimes things just don't work out the way you want them to. But I hope you guys have a really good rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time for a new and improved resin project.